What if the truth you are chasing is never singular? What if morality itself keeps shifting depending on who tells the story? Today we are talking about two Malayalam films that strip human nature down to its most uncomfortable core, Eko and Kalamkaval. Two very different films, two very different approaches, but both explore the same unsettling idea, the darkness within ordinary people. Hello all and welcome back to Film Relic. In this video, we are reviewing Eko, the final chapter in the so-called Animal Trilogy after Kishkinda Kandam and Kerala File Season 2, and Kalamkaval, a procedural serial killer starring Mammotty. One film plays with subjective truth and shifting morality, while the other confronts us with pure, unexplainable evil. Let's break them down one by one. Eko is an intense Malayalam psychological thriller directed by Dinjith Ayyathan and written by Bahul Ramesh. Casually, much like Kishkinda Kandam, the film begins with a simple inciting incident. In Kishkinda Kandam, a gun goes missing. In Eko, a man goes missing. And that man is Kuryachan. What follows is not a straightforward but a layered narrative where different characters, each with their own motives, set out to find Kuryachan. And in the process, we hear multiple versions of who Kuryachan really was. Through accounts from a jeep driver, Kuryachan's Malay wife Mlathi, and his associate Mohan Pothan, the film slowly builds a fragmented portrait of a man who rose to prominence as a dog breeder, but whose past is riddled with moral ambiguity and wrongdoing. Just as Kishkinda Kandam used monkeys as a symbolic device, Eko, like Kerala File Season 2, uses dog as a narrative mirror. Kuryachan trains dogs to be fiercely loyal, protective, and obedient, but the film raises an unsettling question. Are these dogs being trained to protect or to imprison? Is a dog a companion or a captive to its master's will? This metaphor extends brilliantly into the narrative itself. Characters who initially appear virtuous slowly reveal darker sides. Those we distrust gain layers of empathy. Every 15 minutes, the story subtly pivots, forcing you to reassess intentions and morality. The film cleverly toys with the idea of control. Just as dogs are trained to obey unseen commands, the audience is led to believe that Kuryachan controls the narrative even in his absence, until that certainty is shattered. One of Eko's greatest strengths is how it weaponizes perspective. You are constantly second guessing who is telling the truth, who is manipulating whom, and whether anyone in this story is truly innocent. Unlike Kishkinda Kandam, which relied heavily on emotional payoff, particularly the father-son dynamic, Eko leans far more into mystery than interpersonal drama. Relationships like Kuryachan and Mlathi's marriage and Piyush's motivation lack emotional depth. But these are minor drawbacks in an otherwise brilliantly written thriller. Even if you predict the final twist, the film never spoon feeds you the motivations behind it. Long after the credits roll, you'll find yourself piecing together the puzzle. Mujeeb's atmospheric background score amplifies the tension, while Bahul Ramesh's cinematography lends the film a grounded, immersive texture. Though I personally wished for a moodier visual palette similar to Ella Villa Punchira, the cinematography still does justice to the narrative. Performance-wise, Saurabh Sachdeva feels miscast as Kuryachan. The role demanded a deeply rooted Malayali presence, someone who instinctively understands the culture nuances. Casting a Hindi film actor who doesn't speak the language breaks immersion. On the other hand, Biana Momin as Chedati is excellent, restrained, poised, and layered. Sandeep Pradeep as Piyush is the emotional anchor of the film, effortlessly transitioning from modest innocence to unsettling transformation. To sum up, Eko is a compelling subjective truth thriller, an exploration of man, control, and moral ambiguity. While emotional connections are thinner, the mystery, tension, and narrative ambition make it deeply engaging. I rate it 3.5 out of 5. Moving on to Kalamkaval, a film that explores an even darker corner of human nature, the serial killer psyche. Traditionally, the serial killer films hinge on three questions: who is the killer? Why does he kill? How is he caught? Kalamkaval subverts this structure immediately. Within minutes, We know Mammotty is the killer. There is no tragic childhood, no psychological justification, no attempt to humanize his urge to kill. The film strips away sympathy and focuses entirely on the process of capture. Mammotty plays Stanley Das, a charming predator who targets middle aged women. His brilliance lies in restraint, his calm demeanor, that unmistakable smoking style, and predatory gaze create chills without overt theatrics. Opposite him is Vinayakan as Jai Krishnan, the investigating officer. While Vinayakan is competent, the performance feels oddly subdued. We rarely sense desperation, frustration, or obsession, emotions critical in a cat and mouse procedural. In an ideal world, we expect the actors to reverse their role with Mammotty playing the cop to catch the killer. But with Pulu, Rorschach, Kannur Squad, and Brahmayugam being recent movies from Mammotty, there is a trend that you are not going to get anything safe from a Mammotty film. He uses his trademark charm in seducing the ladies and that smoking style, which is a fine balance between charm and menace. Just the tracking shot of him looking at the woman will send chills down the spine. The screenplay adopts a Zodiac style information driven investigation, which, while realistic, sometimes lacks dramatic urgency. The stakes feel lower than they should, and twists are sparse. That said, Kalamkaval remains a commendable effort, especially considering it's Jitin K. Jose's debut film. Handling a serial killer narrative with a powerhouse like Mammotty is no easy feat, and the film largely succeeds in tone and intent. However, its sharper writing, higher investigative tension, and more formidable protagonist antagonist dynamic, it could have achieved cult status. So I would go with 3 out of 5 for Kalamkaval. While Eko challenges you to question truth, control, and morality, Kalamkaval confronts you with cold, motiveless evil. One film unsettles through ambiguity, the other through inevitability. Both are worth watching, but for very different reasons. So that was my review of Eko and Kalamkaval. What did you think of both the movies? Which film worked better for you and why? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, share it widely, and subscribe to Film Relic for more thoughtful cinema discussions. Until next review, stay curious, stay cinematic.